Okay, the Teradata active system management is part of 3 different tasks. Okay, the first one is called as the Teradata Dynamic Workload Manager, which is a tool, okay, which is used to identify the resource utilization of the SQLs before even they execute. Okay. So TDWM, the Teradata Dynamic Workload Manager, is a tool through which you can do the partitioning of the queries within the resource categories. Okay. So we'll estimate what and how much is allowed to begin execution, how much resource it required to start its execution. It all depends on many factors. Okay, first thing is the user, the priority to the users, and the time when they execute the query, and the resources available at the moment when they execute the query. So all these 3 factors probably influence what resource category they should be allocated to. For example, if you consider a business user, the CEO of the organization, who has very much high priority, and whenever he submits an SQL within the business hours like 8 AM to 5 PM, all resources should be given to him in order to get him the good service, because he is the executive user and his decisions are very critical to the business. So we have to allow him to consume many resources or the maximum resources whenever you want to execute any SQL. And if the same user, if he executes after 5 PM, we may not give that much priority because our batch loads may start. So if I slow down the batch operations, then again tomorrow we may not meet the SLA and we may not provide the data to all the users tomorrow. So we do all these priorities as per the timings what they execute and the user accessing priorities, all these things, and we will allocate them some predefined resource partitions. Okay. And once we identify, okay, this particular user, if this type of particular SQL, and if this is the time window, if we execute, this is the resource partition he can align with. Now we estimate that and we will give a particular partition group for him to execute the SQLs. So this is all the pre-execution, we do the estimations, and then we schedule them in the proper partitions. So the query executes. So once the query execute, all these things will be logged in the database query log. Okay. So before we understand what the estimations we did are right or wrong, we have to capture the resources and we have to analyze the captured statistics in the post execution, and we'll identify, okay, all the users are consuming the resources as per our expectations during the hours, allocated hours or not, and if there is any mismatch, then we will change the resource partition groups in the workload managers. Yes, this is the entire cycle to make the active system management. And the first thing involved is the TDWM, where before execution we do some estimations and segregate them as per the resource partitions, and then we execute the queries and see how they are consuming the resources and as per expectations they are doing it, or is there any exceptions. Okay. So here you can see the example. Are you getting noise? Please be on mute yourself when you are not asking questions. So for example, here there are 3 resource partitions. Okay, one is the default with the weightage of 20 CPU cycles, and the other one is resource partition 1 with all tactical queries with the weightage of 60 CPU cycles. Again we have one more partition group, decision support systems, weight is 20. So based on the past experiences and the Teradata people experience, when you configure it, when you configure Teradata for the organizations, they will propose you how many resource partitions we should have and how much weightage we give, how many types of users will perform the querying. So at the time of configuration, the Teradata people will give you the segregations, the resource partition groups. Yeah, and as per the account IDs, what we assign when we create the users, the low, medium, high and rush priorities. So all these priorities, the tactical query. If this particular user executes all tactical queries which should be executed within less time, okay, then it will go to the tactical partition. Okay, we'll define a rule with the filters and throttles in the TDWM. So TDWM is the GUI utility, what the Teradata people will have the access. Okay, in the GUI utility, they will give the filters. Okay, if this particular user logins during this time and executes a tactical query, he has to be given weight 60 to perform it very high. Okay, so we create the users with these with these priorities, and when he submits the query, he may go into its corresponding partition group. Here it is tactical partition, so it will become TL, the tactical partition. So TL is assigned to the tactical queries that are all AMP operation. So this is the rule defined, for example. Yeah. So if this user of low priority executes the query, as he is a business user, we have to give him a tactical priority, and within the tactical, if it is accessing all the AMPs, then this is the actual priority what we give. And similarly, TH, tactical high, assigned to tactical queries that are 1 or 2 AMP operation. If it is a 1 AMP operation, we will give a high priority within the tactical partition. Wait, will be tactical queries. The typical queries like, okay, so what is, for example, okay, if you know, okay, in the mining parts, they will find some patterns. Okay, if I sell the newspaper along with the milk, the newspaper revenue generation will be more. In stores, I mean, I read somewhere, in stores, if they put newspapers beside the milk, then the sales of newspaper will be more that day. Those are some mining and data tactical queries, okay, which will give you some tactical answers.
So that's related to BI, right?
Yeah, related to by BIs. So if we execute, because backend is Teradata and the queries will be executed through the BI utilities only, right? Finally.
Right.
So through BI, if they execute such a tactical queries or strategic queries, those things will be segregated here as per the resource partitions. Just a moment. Sorry. Okay. So those are called as tactical queries. Okay, and the batch queries, okay, which does ETL queries, may come into default partition group. Like that, we can decide how many categories of resource partitions we should have and how we allocate them, and within the partitions, do we give the lower priority, higher priority within these partitions. Everything is decided at the time of configurations in the Teradata workload managers. DM, the decision support
Partition, you're
medium. Yeah.
by partition you're referring to space on the server?
No, it's not space.
The perm
It is the combination of all the resources. Okay. If you see weight means CPU cycles here. The weightage. If you get more weightage, you will get more CPU cycles served at the same time, so that your queries will be resolved very soon. If weight is less, then less CPU cycles will be allocated to your query, so it may take some longer time. So in terms of CPU cycles, you can understand this, not the space.
and also the priority, like when it is executed, if it comes at the same time.
Yeah, it all depends.
And by resources, what are the other resources you're referring to?
The timing, the time. So if this particular user, noise. Okay, if this particular user log in between 8 to 9, then only we'll give him the weightage of 60. Okay, so the time during which he logs in, that also matters. Yeah, the resource means the CPU cycles and the IO cycles. These are the resources we are talking. Yeah, and sometimes the spool also, the spool space, what he can consume during these timings. He cannot execute a query which takes beyond 2 GB of spools during this particular time. Okay, you can control all those Teradata space resources, space in terms of not pump space, it is only the spool space you can control, and the CPU cycles and the IO cycles. Okay. So we divide these partition groups of execution, and we execute the queries, and then we log the query performance, and we'll identify whether we have allocated the proper partitions for the users or not, and then we modify it again, so that finally the objective is to get a good executable system for all the users for their requirements. For example, I have allocated the business user the whole 24 hours, for example. Okay, I assumed he logs in for whole 24 hours and he can execute it. Okay, and the query got executed, and by the end of the time, end of the week or end of the month, when I am seeing the reports, this particular user one day he executed beyond the business hours and it has hampered all the batch operations. So on the next day, every business user is complaining us that the process is not done and SLA is not met. So instead of that, it is better restrict him within this window of business hours, so that all the users will be happy tomorrow. Right? So how we can know that? Okay, by seeing these query logs, okay, we identify, okay, this particular query is blocked these many sequels, the batch operations on this so-and-so date, okay, as he has high priority and high weightage, totally 24 hours. So we can understand the patterns here by seeing the reports after the execution. We can change the corresponding partition groups for the users along with the timing, CPUs and IOs, so that everyone would be happy. Okay. So that is the workload management all about. Okay, so we don't have many access, because if we have 200 DBS for a client, only 1 or 2 people will have the access to the TASM, the priority scheduler and data workload manager. Not all the DBS would work on this. Okay, so not everyone can get an opportunity to work on this, and those people who all are the organization employees, they may also have to work with the Teradata Corporation only to make any changes in the resource partition groups. Okay, to build these resource partition groups, no one has, I mean, most probably 1 or 2 users will have access, and they also take help from the Teradata Corporation and will do these partitions, because it is a one-time thing. Once this partition is aligned, then what we do, we just can change the work groups from one to another whenever we see this work group is not suitable for him. We can change them and we can switch them those activities as a DBA you can do, but creation of these partition groups is done by the corporation people, Teradata corporation people. Okay. So this is workload management.
Manoj?
Yeah.
So Manoj, so where this resource partition division is done? Is it done in the server or in terms of a CPU cycles, in terms of a memory?
Pardon? Or asking about the tool through which we do?
Yeah, which tool and how when this resource partition division is done, like when we give the weight is 60, 20, 20,
That's
where
what.
do we define
See,
it?
when we configure the Teradata for the machine or for the organization, at that time only the Teradata partition, Teradata corporation people will suggest us what the typical partitions we can have. They define these are the three partitions we are proposing as per your usage and as per your domain of the business. Okay, and we'll give this weight for the default partition group, and if there are any tactical users who are the business users and fire the strategic and tactical queries, we give them the weightage of 60, and for other decision support we may give weightage of 40 or something. Okay, so our responsibility is to identify whether this user will go to the tactical partition group or DSS partition group. Yeah, and all these partitions and everything they will do through the Teradata workload manager at the time of Teradata configuration. If there are any changes, then again we have to contact them and get the information. Fine.
And this is totally separate utility, right?
Yep, separate
Tool,
utility.
I mean.
Yes. Okay.
So this doesn't come into Teradata architecture?
No, it is a Teradata tool, one of the tool which is rarely used by very few DBS, the super DBS. If you see, this is the dynamic workload manager. We have to set it up. It is not a default configuration, so that's what I mean. No one, even people who are working on as DBS, we didn't see this tool in the organization. Actually, they didn't give access. In this, again, here it will show all the filters and throttles what it has, and it will. I mean, we can drag and drop, and we can do that. Not sure if it connects or not.
Does it comes with the demo version?
Yep, it comes along with the demo version. Yes. Okay. So this is just to know you the technology. Okay, what we call is TASM, and what is workload manager, what is priority scheduler, and database query log. Just to give the technology, but here we are not going to explore it extensively because we don't have accesses in real time and we cannot configure in the demo version probably. Okay. And the next topic I would like to show you is the session management. Okay, how generally we do monitoring of the system and do the session management. Okay, to do the session management, the tool what we generally use is Teradata Manager. Okay, so Teradata Manager, go to the manager in it and click on it, and we have default host name, username and password, account ID, the priority of the current user what is logging in, it would be default if you don't give, and the profile, some default profiles would also be there. Sometimes, okay, whoever log in through Teradata Manager, he should have an abort access or he may not have an abort access. It all depends on the DBA roles what he do. So probably they will create profiles for the same user with two kinds of roles, with abort profile or without abort profile. So if I log in with the abort profile, they will give me access to abort the sessions also in case if I find any session is blocking a long time. So let's try to log in. And in this partition groups, one more thing I would like to mention. For example, the tactical user has started his SQL. Okay, we can give them the throttles such as if this particular query is being executed more than 2 minutes, then switch it to the next partition group, the default partition group. Okay, for first 2 minutes it will be given weightage of the tactical user, that is 60 CPU cycles with the weight, and if it executes beyond 2 minutes, then automatically it has degraded to the default partition where the weightage will be decreased and 20 CPU cycles will be given to you. Okay, like that we can control the SQLs based on the performance of the SQLs. Okay, if it occupies more than this much spool executed by this tactical user during the business hours, it has to be degraded to the default partition group. So those rules also you can set up. Start again. Okay. So this is the default profile with the demo version, and same DBC user, DBC password, host name, and here you see the server options. What it is: get data direct from the Teradata database, or you may get data from this server. Which server? Teradata manager server. Okay, what happens generally? The Teradata manager is very resource consuming utility, so the access will be given very limited to the DBs. And again, even we give the Teradata manager access, what generally happens, they cannot directly connect to the Teradata server with this Teradata manager. What they do, they will install one more machine, and on the machine they will install the Teradata manager server. Okay, and this Teradata manager server would connect to the Teradata server and get the information on a periodical basis. And to connect the Teradata manager from our machine, we connect to the server in which the Teradata manager is installed, not the Teradata server. So indirectly what we are doing, we are getting data from the Teradata manager server in our client manager tool, and we are seeing the data of the Teradata database. Now got it? Let me explain it. So Teradata server is installed here. Okay, to connect to this, they will have TD manager server. This is one more machine. Okay, this is one machine, Teradata manager server, and this is Teradata actual server which is running. And with this we connect TD client, TD manager client. So one machine and another client. So all the DBAs would connect to the manager server. Okay, so let's suppose we have 10 clients. All the 10 clients would connect to Teradata manager server, and only this manager server will fetch the data from the Teradata database server. Why this is? Because to decrease the impact of the high resource consuming Teradata manager on the actual database server. Now here in this architecture, what happens? Only the manager server connects to the Teradata server, and it is very much available for all the remaining operations, the actual data processing operations. And manager clients will connect to the manager server, which is dedicated to pull the data from the server and supply to the manager clients. Okay, so this is the typical architecture generally in real time they would do. Okay, so we have two options. Either through this Teradata manager you may connect to the Teradata server directly, or through Teradata manager server you can pull the data. So these are the two options here. Get data direct from the Teradata database, or get from the server, the manager server. If you choose the manager server, if you click on this right button, radio button, you will get the server name. So you will be provided with the manager server name. You just type the server name here and click on OK. So you will be connected to the proxy, Teradata manager server, and get the information. So there will be some delay, but still it is okay. In the demo version, we don't have such a architecture where it has the server and Teradata manager server, client, everything installed on the same machine. So you can directly pull the data from Teradata database, which is currently running here on the same machine. Okay, so the local machine, and here I want to directly connect to the Teradata server, but not through the manager server. Just click on OK. Okay, in the organizations you may see the second way of connecting. Through Teradata manager client you will connect to the Teradata manager server, and manager server will pull the data of sessions from the Teradata server. Okay, so this is the Teradata manager window. So here monitor this things. Dashboard, it won't be displayed. It is a GUI of giving you the usage of resources by each and every session. Sessions, you want to monitor all the sessions, it would give you the list of the users logged in currently and what the sessions they are occupying. Currently in the Teradata manager I logged in as DBC, so it is showing only the DBC here. Okay, for example, if I log in through SQL Assistant with the TD user, then it would show a session here with the TD user. Let's try that. Okay. So I connected, and then session is given here. Then there is a delay again between the manager and the database. So for every 1 minute or 2 minutes. Okay, it will refresh the session information and will show you the result. See, now it is showing the new session which I logged in through the SQL Assistant. TD user, I logged in with the medium priority. Status is idle. I am not doing any active SQLs, and it is coming under the partition DPC SQL. And the first one is the monitoring. As I logged into Teradata Manager, it went to the default partition monitor like this. If I log into BTQ, log on, local TD, yeah, log on successfully completed. So let us monitor here. See, one more session came. So when you connect through this manager utility, and if you monitor the sessions, okay, you may see some hundreds of the sessions are running in real time, because the users who sit across the globe, maybe with the strategic partners, with business users, with the developer, with batch operations, load IDs, app IDs, all the sessions who logged in with the IDs will be displayed here. Okay, and you can see how much resource they are using. What is the SKU level of each session? What is the AMP IO? What is the spool? All these things you can monitor here, and there are some thresholds. Okay, you just sort them as per the information. You just click on this, it will sort based on the values, and it will fetch what are the queries or what are the sessions currently occupying maximum CPU, and just double click on that. It will show you the entire picture of that particular session. At what time he logged in, what is the time elapsed, what are the CPU SKUs, what are the requests he did. Everything can see in the pop-up window. What you do here, just click on the session by seeing what is the maximum CPU occupied session. Just double click on this, it will open up a pop-up window by giving the whole picture of the session. Okay, and if you want to monitor the next session, you can monitor the next session, previous session. And if you feel if the CPU cycles are more than 30K, if that is the threshold for you to abort the sessions, so you will get abort button enabled. You can just abort the session. Based on your profile with which you log in, you may get an abort access where you can monitor this query. You find the user, you may contact them to kill their query, or if you feel that it is occupying unexceptionally and it has to be killed right now, you can just abort it and then inform them your query is occupying very high CPU or a very high spool, so I need to kill them, so please tune your query and execute it again. So we'll intimate them why you have killed the query.
Manohar, can we see actual SQL also?
Actual? What was
Actual
that?
SQL.
Actual SQL.
Actual,
Yeah.
actual
Yeah.
executing SQL. Yeah.
Yes, we can see that. The SQL and the steps. Because sometimes it would enable, if it is currently running any SQL, you will get the SQL button enabled here. See here, it is in gray color. Okay, so that will be enabled and you can see the SQL. And you can see the steps,
These are
explain
also
plan
available in
steps.
Viewpoint, right?
Yeah, in Viewpoint also they have integrated everything. Okay. So if you click on SQL, it will show you the explain plan steps, currently which step is being executed by highlighting it, and you can see how much time this particular step is taking, and you can concentrate on that particular step and see if there is any product join happening there without any proper condition, or the collect stats are missing there, so that you can kill the query and will recommend them, okay, you do these things and execute the query. You can do that. Okay. And we'll see some more aspects. So here you may see all the session
Manoj,
or only the active sessions. Yes.
question is if let's say we are executing export, right? The fast export,
Mhm.
and it is using like more than one session, so it will display more than one session here in this.
That is considered as a session pool. Okay, it is a single login with a pool of multiple sessions. Okay, so it is a session pool, but you will see only one user.
Only one user here.
Yeah. Okay. So in session you can give the filters. If you want to see the all or only the active sessions or blocked sessions, idle sessions, not idle sessions, or parsing, that means still under parsing engine control where it is parsing the query, and then responding the queries where it has executed the query and just pulling the data to the users and aborting. Once you abort it, it has to roll back to the previous status. So there will be some time to abort the query also, where it has to do the rollback operations and then complete it. So those aborting queries, other delayed queries. Delayed queries means, for example, we have a limitation on the number of users log into the machine, where we have set a DBS control parameter of 30 users at a time, for example. And if 31st user logs in, he don't have the resources available because of the control what we made the number of users. So he will be in delayed queue. So that sessions will come under delayed, so that you can identify if there are any delays happening. Because if a particular user is delayed for a long time, then again he will contact the DBS. Okay, I have executed the query and it is not being executed. It's not come under queue. Then you will see the sessions, the delayed, and see if there are any user that still delayed waiting in the queue. And then you see if any user is exceptionally using the resources, and if you want to kill anyone, you can kill that session so that this particular high priority users may get the resources, so that you can manage the sessions. So here also you can do this thing in the sessions window. If you want to monitor only the delayed idle, see that. And at node level, you have only one node, otherwise it will show you multiple nodes and each node status. Let me show you if I have a document.
Hey Manoj, what was the default password for DBC?
DBC.
DBC itself?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So these are some screenshots. Okay, I'm not going to share with you, but just for your understanding and to see that. So here, this is real-time sessions, active sessions. You can see the list of active sessions. It is one screen. You may see the session count is 71 here. Are you able to see? Session count 71. So 71 sessions with all these priorities and everything is running fine. All active sessions you are seeing here. And this is the dashboard, which I clicked here, but it is not displaying. The dashboard, where it will show you the analog way of the resource consumption. If you see the virtual utilization, the physical utilization, that means the physical components and the virtual component. The amps and Ps are virtual components, and the nodes and binet, the disks, everything is physical component. You can see these lines. The blue line is amp. Make it big. So amps, how they are performing. Ps and the parallelism, 65% parallel. So this is the graph. So we just monitor the health of the machine, how much parallel it is working. So 90% parallel. the hardware machines. And the sessions, the total sessions are 1009 and the active sessions are very less, the blocked sessions are 0. Like this, you can understand the dashboard which displays the current status of all the sessions. And this is the list of the sessions. Okay, so this is the workload partition group, load tactical, with the medium usage, the load ID, the session number. And then workload snapshots. And in the workload management, the load long, load tactical. It will show you the counts of particular partition group queries. And the delay queue statistics. We can select a particular partition group also and see what are the sessions occupied in this partition group. The load tactical. One session is active in the load tactical. That's what we have seen here. Right? These sessions. The load tactical session is 1. So if you consider only this partition group sessions you want to monitor, you can select the load tactical, the partition groups. Here in the demo version, you may not see all these partition groups. Okay, these are defined in real time. You can select a particular partition group and then see how many queries are there in this particular partition group. With the rush partition group for the DBS, for the DDL users, for the load short term, load high, load long time. All these partition groups you can define and you can monitor the sessions. So in which partition group, how many sessions are there. And this is the example of the alerts. So Teradata Manager, you can set up the alerts. And basically this Teradata Manager is the aggregation of all the management tools. Okay, from this Teradata Manager you can go through all the other utilities. So here you see the delayed queue status, all these things you see, and performance monitor. So performance monitor is another tool actually to monitor the sessions. So by through the manager also you can connect to the performance monitor, okay, and you see all these tools what you can connect. The database console, the console utility where you can set up the parameters at the system level parameters, alert policies, an SQL assistant, BTEC window, database setups, okay, workload management, priority scheduler, dynamic workload manager, analyzer, the DBQL, workload analysis, DBQL analysis. All these tools you can connect through the Teradata Manager. You no need to connect individually from here. Everything is installed here also. Okay, but through the Teradata Manager also you can invoke the other utilities. Moving space, workload management, and in the analysis, okay, resource history, statistics wizard and index wizard, where there are different utilities again. And the investigation, audit logs, error logs, space usage, history, alert viewer. Okay, so before that, you see the alert policies. Okay, so this is the alert policies where we configure at what time who has to get the email. And refresh policy is 300 seconds. So every 300 seconds it will monitor the particular rule. So here in the DB space for this DBC if percentage of space used is above 80%. Then and the number of occurrences or 1, the minimum CPU cycles. All these combinations you can use to generate a mail. Sessions, events, nodes, all these things will set up and write the log. So here you will get a pop-up server option. Real time you will get a pop-up server where you will configure the mail server, so that once you set up the thresholds, if you want to get 80% more space is used, then send the mail to the pop-up DG list. So this is the alert configuration, what we generally do. And this one, the sample emails you can see, TD manager, sample mails. Okay, so what it is, space movement news, the stored procedure for moving the database space. So some real-time alerts you can find and you can configure it so that if that threshold or if that event occurs, it will send the mails to the pop-up servers. And remote console options, where you can see the different logs. Here it is showing the example of show logs. If you want to see the current active logs of archival machines, you will see the remote console. There is one more tool again. Through Teradata Manager, you can connect to the remote console and you see all these details. Generally, they also don't have all these accesses. Very few. They show logs, log display, or to view the other DBS controls. This is the DBS control, which is used for setting up the server level parameters. Like yesterday we have seen the DBQL refresh time. It is default 10 minutes, right? So if you want to change that, you can change it here, the DBS control utility. So who would have access to all these things? The super DBS, again, the Teradata Corporation people with their user IDs, they will log on and they will enable all these utilities and then change the system level parameters, which will impact all the sessions, all the users and all the nodes in the machine. And then we'll see tomorrow the performance monitor. So if you see the Pmon, let us see the introduction, how we go to the Pmon. Teradata Manager, what is this?
Manoj?
Yeah.
So with this Teradata Manager, we can do the same task with the Teradata Administrator?
No. Manager is to monitor the sessions. You cannot execute the queries. You cannot see the database and users.
Okay, this is more like sessions and the queries.
Yeah, session management, and then see what queries the session user is executing, what are the blocked sessions, what are the blocking sessions, and you need to abort the session or kill the sessions or not, or you need to change the priority of the work groups from one to other. Those manual session monitoring tasks you can do with the Teradata Manager. And with this Teradata Manager, you can connect to the other utilities like performance monitor, the DBS controls, Ferret, all those utilities you can connect.
Well, with Teradata Administrator, we can do the user management and the access.
Object management, user management, spaces, roles, profiles, okay, the access logging and DBQL, database query logging, all those activities you will do with the administrator. And Teradata Performance Monitor, you can just connected, you can just click on the start. It will start showing you the performance of the hardware components and software components. So let's see the configuration section. It is 5400 machine. Generally, you may see 5500, the 5500X, 5500Z based on the configuration of the Teradata machine. So how we call P3, P4, the Pentium 3, Pentium 4, i5, i6, i7. In similar way, we call the Teradata servers as 5400, 5500, 55X, like that. And Binet A and Binet B, both are up and running. And there is 1 PE in the machine, 2 amps, okay, virtual resources. There is nothing down. Everything is up and running. If there is any down, it will show here in the yellow. And the summary, you will see the nodes, 0% of average usage, and it is high usage and low usage. For each component, you will see the high and you will see the low and the average. If it is in green, it is working fine. If it is yellow, there is a caution. If there is anything exceptional, it will be highlighted in red. Okay, generally monitor it. If anything is coming into red, then you have to pay attention. Okay. You can see the chart to compare amp and average amp usage. Just select what all you want and then click on redraw. So it will take 10 seconds to take the intervals. For each 10 seconds, it will redraw the graphs to compare how the virtual processors are occupying. We have decreased intervals. That's minimum. You will see that. Anyway, tomorrow also we'll connect and we'll see the performance monitor and we'll see the other utilities, other tools, other DBA tools. And then we'll see the archival and restore processes. And with that, most of the DBA activities will be covered. Yeah. Any questions so far? Because most of them we have to imagine because we cannot see the real time, the whole sessions, right? So this is my effort where I can make you understand the real time scenario. So this is the machine 55,000, the binets, and if you want to see the P's, amps, see 3,872 amps gas, the configuration. This is the usage. At a peak time, this is the regular usage. We'll see tomorrow in Pmon how we can handle and manage the sessions.
On my machine, I'm not able to load profiles because it says the database DBC manager does not exist. Did I miss any component during installation, you think?
Maybe. We'll see later. Okay. So I'm just disconnecting and I'm logging in again. We'll continue with our development session. We'll see that later. Okay. So please be online. I'll be connecting back. Oh, Kapil is not joined yet. So, and if I go, I think you all will be disconnected. Can you all disconnect and connect please again for me? Otherwise.